Tucker Carlson headlined an event at Indiana University on Tuesday, sponsored by Turning Point USA, filling in for Charlie Kirk, since numerous speakers are continuing his scheduled college campus tour across the country. And this is how the 3,000 students in attendance welcomed him, despite the endless demonization and smearing jobs by the neocon media, the mainstream conservative media, the usual suspects. Standing ovation, showing that their propaganda isn't working anymore, showing that the Overton window has finally shifted, that people aren't afraid anymore to ask questions about why we're always getting involved in Israel's problems.
There's all of a sudden this attempt to limit what people can say in public, and it's by people who claim to be MAGA. It's like insane.
It is insane. In case you missed it, check my previous video about Brandon Turncoat Tatum, who knows better than Charlie Kirk and is calling for Tucker to be dropped from the speaking tour by Turning Point USA, despite Charlie Kirk just 2 days before he was killed, defending him in text messages, private messages, saying that despite the Jewish donors withdrawing millions of dollars a year from Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk still isn't going to drop Tucker from the tour. Which really upsets people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, who sounds almost exactly like Brian Stelter and is the future Brian Stelter. He is what Brian Stelter will later mature into when he is a senior citizen. Mark Levin, by the way, says that it's an anti-Semitic slur just to call the neocons neocons.
No, we're not neocons. What does that mean exactly? Just another phrase, for the anti-Semites. Oh, you must be a neocon. Oh, I can say that left and right and nobody can accuse me of any. Oh, you're a neocon.
Or in the case of John McCain's neocon daughter's husband, Ben Domenech, who is a Fox News contributor, of course, he wanted Charlie Kirk to be thrown out of Turning Point USA, claiming that under Charlie's leadership, the organization itself has become anti-Semitic. Because this is what the neocons and the kosher right believe.
Israel, their people, the Jews, are better than all of us. They're better than all of us. And you need to accept that.
No, sir, we're not accepting that. That dam has burst. That ship has sailed. The cat's out of the bag. But false teachers like John Hagee and many others continue to try to prop up that misinformation, saying this about the nation of Israel.
A special treasure above all the people on the face of the earth. That includes the United States of America.
That's him at his church, by the way. They're literally applauding to put America second. But if you say that a certain group of people put America second after another little foreign country, then that's deemed a terrible anti-Semitic trope and Jew hatred.
When we think about the State Department definition, which seeks to codify what anti-Semitism is, it's such a flawed definition that it can virtually encompass any particular act without any real regard for context, although it pretends that it does. For example, the State Department definition claims that stating that a particular Jewish person has more loyalty to the state of Israel than they do to their own country is necessarily an example of anti-Semitism, where the truth is that that's one of the fundamental premises of Zionism. And if you go back and look at the statements, say, of Theodor Herzl, who's wrote really what's considered the founding text of Zionism, he argued very clearly that Jews are one people, and therefore it's useless for them to be patriots to the countries in which they reside. So there's times when a statement like that is contained in the definition of the State Department would actually undermine the founding premises of Zionism itself.
Here's Senator Ted Cruz speaking at that same event just a few days ago.
I want to tell especially folks that are no longer teenagers or in your 20s. This poison of anti-Semitism on the right, it is spreading with young people.
We all know that word is thrown around almost as much as the word racism, not because it's an accurate descriptor of certain kinds of behaviors or beliefs, but rather as a tool, as a weapon to silence people from making criticism or having opinions that aren't approved by the establishment, or mentioning facts and statistics which are undermining to certain people's causes.
It is gaining traction. Part of it is philosophical. There's an isolationism. So they will argue, what business do we have supporting Israel? Why should America support Israel? It's their problem. Let them deal with it.
Exactly.
And let me give you an answer as someone elected to represent 31 million Texans and fight every day for your jobs, your freedom, and your safety and security. The United States supports Israel not because we are helping out a down-on-his-luck neighbor. We're not engaged in a charity act. The United States supports Israel
because they have such a powerful lobbying organization, and people like Jeffrey Epstein blackmail politicians into doing it. Whoops! You're not supposed to say that. Anyway, continue with your official story, Ted.
Because it is unequivocally in the national security interest of the United States to support Israel.
That's interesting because in Osama bin Laden's letter to the American people, which he published after the September 11th attacks back in 2001, which was later deleted, censored from numerous media outlets after a lot of young adults started noticing it and talking about it on TikTok, he says that the reason why he attacked us wasn't because he hates our freedoms and he's jealous of America's economic power. It's because we are the military backers and financial backers of Israel. But you don't have to take his word for it because people like Ron Paul have been talking about this for decades, as have the intelligence agencies, which called it blowback. And what a surprise, that speech, which was uploaded to Ted Cruz's official YouTube channel, had the comments turned off because they don't want people to read what they actually think about Ted Cruz's speech.
Those who hate Israel hate America.
The same Ted Cruz who recently openly admitted that the sole reason he wanted to become a senator in the United States was this.
I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Right.
And I've worked every day to do that.
Every day to do that, okay? So not just, part of his platform. Every day he's working on behalf of a foreign country. Oh, and you're not supposed to talk about the clean break report in mainstream conservative media. That's one of the quick ways to have your career ended. The 1996 report that was put together by a bunch of neocons, including Benjamin Netanyahu, which outlined what they said were the necessary steps in order to protect Israel and solve their problems over there in the Middle East. One of the top ones was removing Saddam Hussein from power. And then what a surprise, in the year 2000, the neocon think tank, the Project for the New American Century, put together their Rebuilding America's Defenses report, where it outlined the same goals, but said, oh, shucks, we're just not going to be able to do it unless there's another Pearl Harbor type of event. And then what a surprise, the 9/11 attacks just happened. This kind of stuff has always been taboo in mainstream conservative media and really in Republican circles in Congress until recently, because it became so obvious. So many people started noticing certain things that it just couldn't be contained anymore. But people like the great paleo-conservative Pat Buchanan had been trying to warn the American people about this kind of stuff decades and decades ago. Here he is being shamed, called an anti-Semite for doing such things.
You've also said that Congress is an Israeli-occupied territory. Now, what do you mean by that?
What I meant by that is the most powerful lobby in Washington, which Congress can't stand up to, one of the most powerful, is certainly the pro-Israeli lobby. It has gotten its way in this town year in and year out. And I don't think the automatic votes of the Congress of the United States for $3 and $4 billion worth of aid to Israel are necessarily in the national interest of the United States. And that comment, which is to ridicule the subservience of the Congress of the United States, is perfectly valid.
Oh, it certainly is. And still to this day, most Republican members of Congress are still complete cowards, except for a small handful like Congressman Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who just said this on Tucker Carlson's podcast.
The whole propaganda machine that has been spoon-fed to Christians, whether it's in the pews at church or Bible study, or coming through the television or through their politicians' mouths, that we have to do everything for Israel. That's the only way we're going to go to heaven. America will be cursed if we don't. That whole lie is breaking apart. And thank God it is, because I, as a Christian, you as a Christian, we know there's only one way, and it's through Jesus Christ. He is our Savior. He died on a cross for us. He rose from the dead in 3 days.
And your salvation has nothing to do with what ethnic group is occupying what regions of land halfway around the world. All right, so even if you don't put too much weight on what Pat Buchanan or Marjorie Taylor Greene have to say about certain influences working their way into Congress and other aspects of our society, how about Billy Graham? Here he is in the Oval Office with President Richard Nixon having what he thought was a private conversation. Only, I'm sure everyone's familiar with the Nixon White House tapes. He was secretly recording most of those conversations. And later, when those tapes were published, Billy Graham was heard saying this.
I go and I keep friends with Mr. Rosenthal at the New York Times and people of that sort, And not all the Jews, but a lot of the Jews are great friends of mine. They swarm around me and they're friendly to me because they know that I'm friendly to Israel. But they don't know how I really feel about what they're doing to this country. And I have no power, no way to handle them. But I would stand up if under proper circumstances.
I mean, what's next? Is Billy Graham going to start talking about the Ginos, the Jews in name only, like the RINOs, get it? The Republican in name only? Those are the liberal, secular, atheist Jews? Oh, wait, what's this?
You see, the Bible makes a distinction, Mr. President, between two groups of Jews. One is called the synagogue of Satan. There are two different kinds. And those people, in the latter days, it's called the remnant of God's people, which will be Jewish people.
Those are the ones who will accept Jesus.
And then there's the synagogue of Satan. And nearly all of your religious deceptions in the latter days, what the Bible speaks, latter days could be 1,000 years, what they call the synagogue of Satan. In other words, they are energized by a supernatural power called the devil. This is what the Bible teaches, whether you believe it or don't believe it. This is the biblical teaching, and this is what I believe. And I believe that they have a strange brilliance about them. They're smart, and they are energized, in my judgment, by a supernatural power.
Well, also they do something else. They're not smart.
And you see, of course, Hitler didn't. They had a stranglehold on Germany, on the banking of Germany, on everything in Germany, and the media. They had the whole thing, you see, but he went about it wrong. But this stranglehold has got to be broken, or this country is going to go down the drain.
You believe that?
Yes, sir.
I can't ever say it, but I believe it.
No, but if you get elected the second time, you might be able to do something.
He believes it, but he can't say it. And you may not believe some of the things that you read in my books, like The War on Conservatives, until you check the footnotes. Down at the bottom of the page, there's nearly 1,000 footnotes in these books documenting and properly sourcing all of the material. So order that in paperback from Amazon.com. Or if you just want to support the channel with a small little tip, click the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below. It's a great way to support your favorite content creator because super chats and super thanks get skimmed by YouTube. You take 30% off the top. So click the link in the description below, head on over there and check it out.